Welcome to Uncle's Channel. Thanks for watching today, and let's talk about the 2-year anniversary for the PlayStation 5. As I said, it's been out for 2 years. I got it on release day, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the system, but has it been worth the money, and has it been worth the investment of the PS5 over these last 2 years? It's just now becoming readily available, or most people can get their hands on one, so I guess I'm just sort of looking back and trying to figure out, was it worth having it for the last 2 years, or is it something more to get involved with now? Now, when we talk about a console, the first thing we're always going to focus on is going to be the games on the console. Are there enough exclusives on this console to make it worth the investment to buy this particular console? And when it comes to PlayStation 5, there have been a lot of Sony exclusives. I mean, you have like God of War, you have Returnal, you have Stray, you have Demon Souls, Horizon, some of the Final Fantasy stuff when it first comes out. I mean, there's a lot of exclusives for Sony, but how many of these are exclusives for just the PlayStation 5? And when you do that, the number really narrows down because they did a lot of cross-platforming between PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and even some stuff on PC as well. But when you think about, are there enough exclusives for just the PlayStation 5, that number shrinks down drastically on what's available only on the PlayStation 5. And when it comes to that, the main games I've played that have only been available on the PlayStation 5 were Demon Souls and Stray. I mean, everything else I could have played cross-platform. I've actually used the PlayStation 5 most to play like Elden Ring, some of the Soulsborne games, the Resident Evil games. I've been going through a lot of those lately. And almost all of that I could have played on the PlayStation 4. And so, exclusive-wise, I don't know if it's been worth it up to these 2 years. Now, that's not to say I don't think the PlayStation 5 has been worth it. That's just one category that we've talked about. Let's talk about the load times. Oh my gosh, the load times for the PlayStation 5 are phenomenal. When I go back and play a lot of these old PlayStation 4 games, like the Resident Evil games, or Elden Ring, or the Soulsborne games, the load times for these games are just insanely fast. Take Bloodborne, for example. Bloodborne on the PlayStation 4, you died, and it's like you waited like a full 30 seconds to a minute in order to reload to play again. And with the PlayStation 5, we're talking like 5 seconds and I'm back into the game. This makes it so much faster for these load times to actually get back in the game, try again on these bosses that are sometimes pretty hard on the Soulsborne games. And also, some of these big open world games, we have to load the entire world. I can't even imagine what the load times were like on Elden Ring on the original PlayStation 4. And so it's just amazing to me how fast the load times are, and I have truly enjoyed that aspect of the PlayStation 5 probably more than almost any other aspect. So it's obvious that the PlayStation 5 is a superior piece of technology than the PlayStation 4. I mean, it's a whole generation leap when it comes to that. But the user interface for the PlayStation 5, the UI, I still just don't like it as much as I did the PlayStation 4. It's just not very user-friendly in my opinion. There's so many different ways to go about, like there's 2 separate menus depending on how you press down the PlayStation button, whether you press it or if you hold it on the controller. And I still, to this day, can't tell you which one brings up which menu. If you press it, which menu does it bring up? If I hold it, which menu does it bring up? And it actually annoys me almost every single time I'm getting ready to turn the system off or go into rest mode, trying to figure that out. It sounds really minute, but it's something that really does annoy me. And it just doesn't look as clean for the interface as the PlayStation 4 did, in my opinion. But let's go into the controllers, since we're talking about pressing that PlayStation button. The controllers for the PlayStation 5, the DualSense, they're good controllers. I like the way they feel. I like the way they little microphone in there. I like the triggers on the controller as well. I'm not really sure I take full advantage of, the sensitivity on them and things like that, since I don't play a lot of shooting games. But I still like the controller. I like the way they look. I like the way they feel. I would say I like the controller better than the PlayStation 4 controllers when it comes to it. So I do think that's a nice upgrade for that. But let's talk about another advantage the PlayStation 5 has when it comes to when you simply get the system and sign for PlayStation Plus, you get the PlayStation Collection, which is a collection of like 20 or 30 different PlayStation games on the PlayStation 4 that are all phenomenal games. I mean, I got God of War through that. I got some of the Resident Evil games through that. I got the Final Fantasy games through there. There's a ton of great games you just get for free. And it's almost worth your money getting the PlayStation 5 just to get a hold of all these great games for free with the system, the PlayStation Collection. That was a huge benefit when you first got the system, sort of offset the price tag a little bit, because like, holy cow, I get all these games to go along with the system with the faster load times, and that was a really cool benefit for that. And it just got better when they put out the PlayStation Premium Plus or PlayStation Plus Premium, where you got the extra games and the classic games and all that. I know some people haven't been a big fan of that system, and I know you could get on the other PlayStation systems as well. But for the PlayStation 5, they do put some of their exclusives on there, like Returnal came out on there, Demon Souls is now on there, that's where I got Stray. So they actually do a good bit for just PlayStation 5 owners when it comes to that premium service. And I do think it's a pretty good benefit. And yeah, I know it costs a little bit more, but to me, it's definitely worth the money. And I know this video is a little bit scattered and just sort of bouncing back and forth on what I think about the system 2 years in, but I do think it's a good system overall. And I think between the two next generation consoles, between this and the Xbox, I do think the PlayStation is the better deal because you actually have exclusives that you can get for the system. And I know Xbox is probably going to really lay it on thick in 2023 with a ton of new exclusives from all the companies that they acquired. But at the moment, I think that Sony's in a good position, and they've got some stuff coming out in 2023 as well that are going to be some pretty good exclusives for the console. I think Sony's going to continue to build that base more and more as it goes. And I think as developers get more familiar with the technology, they're going to eventually cross that threshold where they can't backwards compatibility their games with PlayStation 4 and put out those two versions. I think it will truly be, here are PlayStation 5 games only, and I think that's probably coming sooner than later, and the PlayStation 4 is going to sort of fade away. I really think they sort of focused on that cross-platforming between the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 just because of the chip shortages, and they weren't able to get enough systems out there in order to make enough money off these games. I really think that's what it boiled down to. Like, I think the new God of War and the new Horizon, I really think both of those games probably would have been a PlayStation 5 exclusives if they could have had enough systems out there to sell them on. But I think since they didn't, they decided to do it on two separate platforms. I say all that just because I think the PlayStation 5 is going to have more exclusives going forward from this point. But this video is not about what the future of the PlayStation 5 is, it's about the past. Has it been worth it the last 2 years? And to me, I think it has been. I've enjoyed the few exclusives that we've gotten. I really enjoyed the faster load time. I like the controller. Yeah, the user interface, it's not my favorite, but still, it's not bad or anything. And I like the PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Premium collection that we get with the PlayStation 5. So overall, I think it's a good system. I've enjoyed the last 2 years. I know I was one of the fortunate ones to actually have it the last 2 years. But if you just now getting a hold of it, you've got 2 years of awesome stuff to sort of go back and experience on the new PlayStation 5 that you've just gotten a hold of. And I think it's going to be an awesome experience for you. But what do you think? Do you think the PlayStation 5 has been worth it the last 2 years? Are you excited if you just now got a PlayStation 5? Or are you an Xbox person? Do you think the Xbox is the superior system? And that's where it's really been for the last 2 years. Whichever, let me know in the comments down below what your opinions are. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out my other videos listed up above. And as always, go out there, find a great game to play, and just simply have a great rest of the day.